जय जय सुरनायक जन सुखदायक अनंतपाल भगवंता गोद्विज हितकारी जय सुरारी सिंधु सुता प्रियकंता पालन सुर धरनी अद्भुत करनी मरम न जानई कोई जो सहज कृपाला दीन दयाला करऊ अनुग्रह सोई करऊ अनुग्रह सोई जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी विरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निशिबासर ध्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा जेहि सृष्टि उपाई त्रिविध बनाई संग सहाय न दूजा सो करऊ अघारी चिंत हमारी जानिय भगति न पूजा जो भव भय भंजन मुनि मन रंजन गंजन विपति बरूथा मन वच क्रम बानी छाड़ी सयानी सरन सकल सुर जूथा सरन सकल सुर जूथा शारद श्रुति शेषा ऋषय अशेषा जाकहु कोई न जाना जेहि दीन पियारे वेद पुकारे द्रवहु सो श्री भगवाना भव वारिधि मंदर सब विधि सुंदर गुण मंदिर सुख पुंजा मुनि सेठ सकल सुर परम भयातुर नमत नाथ पद कंजा नमत नाथ पद कंजा जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी विरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निशिबासर ध्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा।
So the sage Ashtavakra told King Janaka that you are not what you perceive, and what you are cannot be perceived. You are not what you perceive. So anything that you perceive is made up of the elements. So he said, you are not air, water, fire, earth, space, any of that. And you must find yourself as the witness of all of these. But you by yourself cannot be perceived. He said, don't take yourself to be that which is form. Only take yourself to be that which you find truly about yourself. Don't take yourself to be the doer. Don't attach to the false. You are that in the light of which this entire universe takes birth, takes shape. And all of it is appearing as a superimposition on you. It doesn't have any substance. Just like the snake, when we perceive a snake instead of the rope, it has no snake substance. So this world appearance with all of its sensations and perceptions has no real substance. The real substance is you, that which is aware and that which is consciousness itself. Don't identify with that which you perceive. Find that which is the witness of all of these perceptions. Without using any imagination or visualization. You could get stuck in many places. You could get stuck at the edge of attention, where attention is reporting only a darkness or a black empty space or a blank. If that appears, let it appear, but take it to be another appearance. That is not awareness. You may have spiritual experiences. Just let them come and let them go. You are looking for that which is the witness of all of this, empty of any imagination, any concept. So upon hearing all of this, the King Janaka has the insight about his true self, and he recognizes that he is that in which these universes come and go. He is that boundless ocean in which the universes are superimposed. They appear as dreams and then they disappear within himself. This is where we were. So he said, this is the beginning of chapter 2, which is called the joy of self-realization. He said, "Oh, I am spotless, tranquil, pure consciousness, and beyond nature. All this time, I have been mocked by illusion." What is mocked by illusion? I have been fooled by Maya. Because Maya is the Mahathagini, the greatest con artist. What does Maya hide? What is the mechanism of that hiding? Is the appearance of perceptions enough for Maya to hide that which is real? So as you're perceiving, you could be perceiving anything in front of you, you could perceive this hand. What all is apparent to you? If you don't get into any story, any identification, any me, then what all is apparent to you? Is it merely a realm of perceptions which is apparent? Or there is the presence of God, the presence of consciousness? And that Nirguna God, the Nirguna Brahman, which is your ultimate reality, who is aware even of this presence of consciousness. So when we are not fooled by illusion, and the illusion needs the story to fool you, without the story of the me it cannot. Not the mere waking state arising cannot do it. It also needs help from the narrator for you to buy the story of the me. Without this, buying the story, are only your perceptions apparent to you this moment? Or there is something much more natural which is ever present, which we have neglected because of its ever presence? As I alone reveal this body, even so do I reveal this universe. Therefore mine is all this universe, or verily nothing is mine. A beautiful line, isn't it? So contemplate for a few minutes, what is the basis of the boundary that you have made around yourself? What is your boundary and what is the basis of that? The sage is saying either everything is me or there is nothing here which is me. But what do we take ourselves to be? What is it that we take ourselves to be? And what determines that boundary? Janaka said, as I alone reveal this body, even so do I reveal this universe. Therefore mine is all this universe, or verily nothing is mine. Can this be true? Where do you start and where do you end? Some of you fall into this trap where the mind says, okay, now I see this, so what does this mean for me? And you bring the locus back to the body-mind. So don't get into that trap. I see I have no boundary. Okay, now that's very good. So what does that mean for me? Don't get into that trap. You take the antidote and then take the poison again. It will not help. So now if this is true, then you are that pure awareness within which consciousness takes birth. And this world is just a superimposition on that consciousness. It just appears and disappears. So don't refer to yourself in this false way as this limited me. And if that seems like it is too much, then at least don't make the half story. Now, what is the half story? We talk about the me as if the me is the main character, but we don't mention that the main character actually is God, whose pure presence is always here. Is it? So how about if every story started like this? When you wanted to talk about yourself, you said God is here, but or God is here, and then start with what you wanted to say about the me. Because that story then is more complete. Otherwise, we are in neglect of that which is the most important element which we need to convey, and then we are completely trapped in Maya. So tell me about what is happening with you. You have to start with God is right here, and see how important the rest of it feels. It is only in the forgetting of that. So if we look at this Veda, which we are talking about, on one hand, Abheda, which means that there is no distinction between myself and the ultimate reality. I am that. So at the pure awareness, you have not suffered. Nothing has happened to you. You have remained unchanging through millions of universes, coming and going. And even upon that insight, you may feel that something about the me is relevant, so that distinction, Veda element from the ultimate reality, which is Nirguna Brahman, that me, you have to put it in the right construct, isn't it? Because if you put it in the false narrative, that is the root of avidya, that is the root of ignorance. And that ignorance causes suffering. So if there is such a me, which there isn't, but as long as it seems like, and you feel like it is so true, then we must say that God's presence is here. He is here. He is the light of life. And I am very happy, but I am so unhappy. Because we have lived in neglect of the main element of this story of this life, and that is caused all the trouble. Now, can you do this with your friends in a business meeting? Probably not, unless you're just getting caught in some spiritual pride or something like that. Unless God is moving you that way, probably not. But at least for yourself, constantly have the sense that He is here. His presence is right here. Then the mental, psychological suffering that you're giving to yourself, that will diminish, if not vanish. And so let's put it in a metaphor, or let's put it in a construct. Suppose you came to satsang today and you meditated very deeply, but Krishna was sitting on the sofa. So you went back home, they asked you, what happened in satsang today? And you just said, I meditated very deeply. Would that be the full story or the correct story? Did you not miss out the most important part of the story? That, hey, Krishna was sitting on the sofa when I went to satsang. You see? And that is what we are doing with our lives. We are taking out the most important element and we are sticking to that which is not even on the surface. It's like a superimposition. The snake doesn't actually exist. It is only the rope. It is only God. Now the sage is asking you, who is witnessing your sight? In the sense, to put it simpler, who is looking through your eyes? Where is the audience of one that we speak of? Is that one the me? Or is it God? Is it Brahman? Who's sitting here in satsang? Is it you, the me? Whose ears are hearing these words? Now, some of us may say, but this is not my truth. I don't see this to be true for myself. When you say God is here, I don't see this to be true. When you say Brahman is my true nature, Nirguna, formless, shapeless, sizeless is my true nature, I don't see it to be true. So you must recognize that although that perspective is the most popular and widespread in the world, it is maybe the word will come across too harsh, but that's what's coming. it is a diseased perspective. We are afflicted by the disease of Maya, and satsang is a rehab for that disease. Do we really want to spend the rest of our life neglecting the most important part of life, or the only thing that makes it alive? That is Maya job. Some of us have been in satsang for 5 years, 7 years, some maybe for 10 years. But even now, our lips don't speak of God, our mouth doesn't speak of God. God is just a side character in this story of me for many of us. And if God is still too much of an aversion, then replace truth with God. It is the same thing. The story is still me, and God just is an incidental only when you believe that He can help the me. Aren't we doing the same thing? Krishna is sitting right here in the room, but we are just involved in some other games that we are playing among ourselves. So turn inwards and see the greater reality of your life. Go beyond perceptions. Meet God's presence. In the light of this holy presence, this Atma within, you will come to the truth about who you are. Then King Janaka says, "Oh, having renounced the universe together with the body," you see, because many times we fall into this trap that we say, "I am not any of this," but we don't include this in that. You see? We make a boundary about ourselves here with the body, and then say, "All this world appearance is not me," but we forget to apply that the world appearance is also this body. So he says, "I am not this body and I am not this universe." Both were important to say, because we may say that in the universe this body is included, but many of us actually do this. We say, "I am none of this, I am not any of this, but this I am." So the attachment to form still remains. He's saying, having renounced the universe together with the body, I now perceive the Supreme Self through the secret of wisdom. What is this? Perceive and wisdom. It's it's not really perceived because the Supreme Self is unperceivable. But you have to use some words, so the translator had to use some words. But I recognize the Supreme Self, yeah, through the secret of wisdom. What is this wisdom? Again, not conceptual wisdom. So both perception and wisdom here are not to be taken like they are taken in the world. It's a deeper recognition and it's a heart knowledge. Atma Darshan and Atma Gyan are actually the same thing. The knowledge of the Atma, the knowledge of the Self is the same as the Darshan, the recognition, the loosely, if you have to use the word perception of the Atma and the Self. But it is unperceivable. But you have a space within yourself, you have a place within yourself where knowledge and recognition are the same thing. What is that place where knowledge and recognition are the same thing? Like this? That innermost chamber of your heart is where the Holy Presence lives, the presence of God lives, the Atma lives. From there, everything is emanating. Everything is emanating. But to come to that recognition, King Janaka told us that he had to renounce the world and this body. What is that renounce? Is it to let it go? Get rid of it. I will not open my eyes again and I will not tend to this body. This means I am not attached to any of this. I am not bothered with the outcomes that are happening in the world and for this body. So the renunciation is an inner renunciation, not necessarily an outer one, because most of you know that he continued to rule his kingdom even after this. Is it too fast? Too slow? No. Because these words are actually explosive and each line is giving us so much insight. We can really take our time. Any place where anyone is stuck? I mean, I'd be surprised if you're not stuck anywhere, but anything that you want more pointers towards?
This one probably is saying this thing is really important. Like when you renounce the attachment, it's renouncing the outcomes of what may happen in the world. Because we say I'm not attached to this. We still attached somewhere to the outcome of what may happen by. We still attaching your action. Still like, it's my action.
My action and therefore my outcome,
Yeah.
or at least a seeming curiosity about what that led to.
Yeah.
or a grasping at a certain outcome which we define to be good. So what is your boundary? Yeah.
So thinking about where I'm getting stuck or what is the boundary, and it doesn't seem like I feel stuck, but what I do feel is like if the morning begins with ADS and then sit in just presence for a long time, the day starts off and then it can feel like some battery drain kind of thing, like as if I'm getting more involved and the boundary is becoming more restrictive, and then there is this sudden urge to go and sit quietly again. And then it seems like that thing is re-established, that connection is re-established. But it's requiring, I shouldn't say but it's requiring, I'm fortunate that even that's happening.
Yeah.
It's requiring 6-7 sits a day. Luckily, I have the time to do those sits whenever it so is required. Initially, there was this sort of half pursuit of, when we see you, it's tempting to, oh man, I'm doing too much work maybe. But now all of that is gone. It's like the fact that it's,
Just repeat that part again.
like if I have to battery draining happens, I have to recharge, draining happens,
So then
recharge.
that seemed like too much effort
No,
compared
it doesn't actually. It's just like when I see you, it's like,
the effort.
it's very tempting. Like, I wish I was like other, even 10%, right? That used to be the case, I'm saying.
No, but even that, let me clarify that there's a lot of work needed in this one.
No, I'm sure. I mean, it's,
There's a lot of
yeah,
work. And without prayer, inquiry, without just consciously making the effort to spend time with God's presence,
yeah.
and be as disconnected as anyone else.
So it doesn't feel stuck or helpless. It's like, oh, what needs to be done is very clear, and it just needs to be done with humility and repetition and dedication. And yeah, so since you asked, if you're not feeling stuck, it's a problem. So I was just reflecting on that, and yeah, maybe that also is some form of being stuck because work is being required.
Maya plays its tricks here as well, and in some ways, I don't know if it's better or worse, but the seeming lack of oxygen when you seem disconnected from your heart, you see, that is very strongly felt here, and therefore the need to quickly return, retreat, whatever you may call it, is very much here. And maybe never get stuck in this idea of a effortlessness, which should be the perfect sort of situation. The effortlessness, the ease just keeps increasing, it keeps increasing, you see. But we must never fall into the trap of, oh, but it should not require effort anymore. Because then to not fall for Maya's tricks or to return once we've fallen for them is always going to seem effortful, because we never grasp without what we are grasping seeming valuable. You see? If it did not seem valuable, we will not grasp things in the world. Therefore, to let go of that seeming value always is going to seem like effort. You see? And mostly after you've let it go, it may not seem that valuable anymore, but it may actually tempt you again and again. But that process we all have to go through, and if we are feeling like we have transcended Maya completely, then we may be getting trapped in a sort of spiritual ego, pride somewhere. So really the feeling that came here is that God is here, and yet the moments which I take out and make about myself, those are the moments where I'm stuck in Maya. It's like we're looking at the night sky and the moon is shining fully, but we are just focused on some tiny star that we can't even see properly. And we're saying, the light is a bit dim today because you can't see that Venus or something like that. What a strange thing we are doing to our lives. No? And all of us are doing it because Maya is also universal. So just something more is coming to say. So how many moments are we feeling that God is here with us? And how many moments are we feeling that we are by ourselves? And what are the afflictions of this way of life? Loneliness, anxiety, worry about the future, what is going to happen. All of that is because we've forgotten the most important thing. The very thing, and I'm sorry I'm calling it thing, that is giving light to this life, that is making everything appear, that we are neglecting. And I do that every day as well. I may do that many times in satsang also. So this is what we are all walking this path together. But the beauty of this is that the more we encounter the holiness of this presence, the more we will start to feel like we can't live without it. I mean, we can't live without it anyway, but we start to consciously recognize that. You see? It may not be as straightforward as that, because as you come to this presence, and Maya will obviously pull out all the stops to try and pull you out firstly. And you make something more important, and often I've talked about these things where it'll seem like the perfect business opportunity has appeared, the perfect partner has appeared, the perfect something has appeared. You see, these things can seem to happen, and they happen too often for us to say it is just a mere coincidence. But Maya pulls out all the stops for us to not spend time with the beloved in the heart. It doesn't want us to surrender our life to God. It doesn't want us to live in the truth of who we are. So many times we may want to run very quickly after meeting God's presence. We may want to run. But really, if you can just persist, and if you keep coming to satsang, I feel like you will persist. Then you will find that living any other way is just not worth it. Does it feel like we are alive at all without the love, holiness, just the completeness that we sense in our heart? Yeah? So even right now, are you feeling that this is you by yourself? Because that is a very lonely way to live. Real loneliness in this human existence. Not recognizing that every moment the highest one, the greatest one, is here. And if there's only one of us which is here, it is him, not me. It is never just me alone. Because he is that boundless ocean on which universes come and go as if they are ships, as if they are arcs. So it is upon the discovery of this that King Janaka is going to say now, I'm wonderful. I'm so wonderful. It sounds like a very prideful thing to say, but he's not talking about his ego. He's saying, wonderful indeed, I am beyond adoration. Even adoration is not good enough for me. I am that wonderful. Because he's recognizing his union, his oneness with that reality, truth, God. Is it soon after this or no? As waves form and bubbles are not different from water, so the universe emanating from the self is not different from it. As cloth, when analyzed, is found to be nothing but thread, so this universe, when analyzed, is nothing but the self. Just as the sugar generated in sugarcane juice is wholly pervaded in that juice, so the universe produced in me is permeated by me through and through. You see? So he's now saying, he's seeing the unity, the Abheda, the non-distinction, that I am that. So he's saying, just as we cannot say this part of the sugarcane juice has sugar and this part doesn't have, in the same way, it is all me everywhere. Every part of this universe is permeated by me alone. So there's a beautiful set of words. We sing a bhajan out of that sometimes, where it is said, "मैं हूँ मंजिल, मैं हूँ सफ़र भी, मैं ही मुसाफिर हूँ." Which means that I am the destination, I am the journey, and I am the journeyer as well. So these things must be spoken from that true insight of oneness, the true insight of unity, that I am that. The whole universe is made up of me alone. So then there are many examples of the same point. Then at verse 11 he says, "Wonderful am I, adoration to myself, who knows no decay and survives even in the destruction of the world." And everything from Brahma, who is the creator of the world, not Brahman, Brahma, down to the clump of grass. Wonderful am I. In the earlier version we read, I am wonderful beyond adoration. So from that true place of insight, now the King Janaka, now the sage Janaka is saying, wonderful am I. That right from the creator of this universe to the tiniest blade of grass, everything is I. But remember again, only from true insight. That's why I said it's a very dangerous scripture, because it's very, very beautiful. But because something inside us loves this, no? Oh, how wonderful am I? So make sure that that is the true place of recognition instead of the frustrated seeker can many times find a lot of relief in these words that I don't need to pray, I don't need to inquire, I don't need to do anything. I'm just so wonderful, everything is me anyway. See? But then this just words. And when life slaps you, then all these words will be the first to go. See? So don't just fall for the words, let it be your true insight. Wonderful am I, adoration to myself, who though with a body am one, who neither goes anywhere nor comes from anywhere, but abides pervading in the universe. Does not come and go, the unchanging reality, I am. What is the difference between Janaka and Ravan? Both are saying the same thing. I am the greatest, how wonderful am I?
Separation. I'm special.
I. And that's why at the start of Satsang I was saying that don't fall into the trap of recognizing or even understanding any of this and then applying it personally to me, to the me. You see? Because that is the dangerous part of this scripture. And that is why the scripture was kept in secret for a long, long time. And only for very, very mature seekers, when the teacher felt they were ready, then it was brought out. So don't take it personally. Wonderful am I, adoration to myself. There is none so capable as I, who am bearing the universe for all eternity, who is bearing the universe for all eternity without touching it with the body. So I am that, who is holding up this entire universe. You are that. How wonderful you are. No words of adoration can fully describe you, fully talk about your glory, that you are. The unchanging reality upon which all that changes rests and is superimposed. That is your true nature. And in meeting yourself this way, truly, most of your pride will burn. When you come to the darshan of yourself in such an authentic way, with true insight, then there is no room. Like the ego seems like a worthless waste of time. You won't want to spend any time in that. So meet it truly in your heart. Wonderful am I. Adoration to myself who have nothing or have all that is thought and spoken of. Knower, knowledge and knowable. These three do not exist in reality. I am that stainless self in which this triad appears through ignorance, the ignorance of Maya. So knowing, knower and known, these distinctions are not true. True knowledge is one knowledge. There are no three there. So the idea of the subject-object relationship is just made up, is notional. So the subject doesn't exist, the object doesn't exist, and therefore the relationship between them doesn't exist. Oh, the root of misery is duality. There is no other remedy for it except the realization that all objects of experience are unreal and I am pure, one consciousness and bliss. The root of misery is duality. Dvand, no? Dvand it is called. So this duality is the root of all suffering. When there is duality, there is either desire or aversion. Without there being two, without me and other, without even me and mine, there is no suffering. I am pure consciousness. Through ignorance, I have imposed limitations upon myself. Constantly reflecting in this way, I am abiding in the Absolute. How are you imposing limitations upon yourself? Huh? Believing the mind, believing ideas of limitation. I am the body, I am this one, this is my life, this is what should happen, this is my house, these are my things. They're all limitations. But you are that on which universes come and go.
Father,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt
I
like
hope you
that.
won't say that the mic's not been working since the beginning of Satsang.
The mic is just fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No, you were, because it just is relevant. You were asking about like what gets in the way of insight um, and when it's so clearly seen that it's like believing in thought and in me and a separate sense of identity. I have to say, even when, like, where I also get stuck is even when there's no thought or a sense of identity, there still feels like kind of like a locality, like a central location that's here that's separate from you over there, like that it's my presence, you know? And so that's kind of where the stuckness comes in too. So it's easy to say my insight or my presence, like I said, or something like that, you know, because it does feel so local. It feels so much like what I am and who I am that it's hard not to make everything about me, even without thought, too, like in a way, you know? Like, I don't know.
Let's look together.
Okay.
This is very good contemplation. So, what I'm hearing you say is that even when I'm not believing my thoughts or identifying with any narrative, what happens is because I'm looking out of this meat basket, therefore I have this locus of centrality which seems to put everything like this, you see, and then there are these sensations, there's this body sensations, maybe pain or pleasure in the body, all of these sensations are there. And then naturally, even without thought, I take myself to be this.
Yes.
Now let's see if that is true. So remain without any story, without any narrative. Let your vision be natural. Nothing your, if it seems like you're looking from here and it is not from there. Notice now if there's any idea of here or there or any distance at all. What is distance without a thought? Now the thoughts will come in the guise of non-thoughts. They'll try to insert themselves in, saying, no, no, but this is not a thought, but this is how you see it. So don't fall for that, which is claiming on your behalf to see it a certain way. You see it organically for yourself. What is the distance? What is the difference between here and there without a thought?
Well,
Is
this
there
is
a
what you
way?
mean when
Yes, correct.
inserting the me in your insight, like claiming it when you say when you claim it immediately. This is, I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The claimant then messes up the claim itself.
Yeah.
The instant the claimant arrives, then the claim that we were going to make is all contaminated. That's why Janaka's words must be read as if they are coming from the innocence of an infant child who's not taking any of this pridefully. He's basically saying that I am the Lord of the universe, but he's not saying it personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is the me and where is the other? Really, I feel the key question in all of this is that independent of thinking, what is apparent to you right now? Is it just the perceptions?
From here to
On what are the perceptions floating? If it is just a bunch of floating perceptions, in which space are they floating? Who is the substratum of these perceptions? Is that different from the witness? And is that witness not apparent to you? And I'm saying apparent, not perceivable. Are they all floating without you? And if they're floating without you or they're floating with you, then are you here as the body on which they are floating? Be careful not to visualize these words. Are these perceptions independent of you? And if they are dependent on you, then are they dependent on this body? But isn't the body just another set of perceptions? So, are all of these perceptions, including the perceptions of this body, both the sensations as well as the visuals, are they not dependent on you, which is beyond perception? Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi asked, in whose light do you experience the light of the sun? In which light? So let this be the main contemplation for today, that without any thinking, what is apparent to me most naturally? What are these perceptions dependent on? Is that one who witnesses all of them, is that one apparent to me in some way? What way is that? And if this light of this universe is within myself, or is myself, then why am I living in a neglect of it, as if it doesn't exist? I have neither bondage nor freedom. Having lost its support, the illusion has ceased. Oh, the universe, though existing in me, does not in reality so exist. I have known for certain that the body and the universe are nothing, and that the Atma is pure consciousness alone. So, on what is it now possible to base imagination? Body, heaven and hell, bondage and freedom, as also fear, all these are mere imagination. What have I to do with all these? I, whose nature is pure consciousness. Oh, I do not find any duality. Even the multitude of human beings, therefore, has become like a wilderness. To what should I attach myself? I am not this body, nor have I a body. I am not Jiva, I am pure consciousness. This indeed was my bondage, that I had thirst for life. Oh, in me the limitless ocean, on the rising of the wind of the mind, diverse waves of worlds are produced forthwith. With the calming of the wind of the mind, in the infinite ocean of myself, the arc of the universe, unfortunately for Jiva, the trader, meets destruction. How wonderful in me the shoreless ocean, the waves of undivided, the waves of individual selves, according to their nature, rise, strike each other, play for a time, and then disappear. So just this boundless ocean I am, on which all these waves appear as if they are separate, individualized, but actually they are not distinct from the ocean at all. But they have a play for some moments and then they merge back into the ocean. So are you the ocean or the wave? Are you eternal or time bound? What is under the surface of perceptions for you? more innocent you are here, the easier it will assimilate in your heart. So as with last time, just try to maintain as much silence as possible. Let these words marinate in your heart. Let, by God's grace, may true insight emerge. And may the illusion of the false fall away. try to remain empty of any story. And if you are going to indulge in stories, then have the full story, which includes God as the main character. You can sing the Hanuman Chalisa.
जय हनुमान ज्ञान सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुमिरे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियारे श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनगादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जब कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि गोविंद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपति दीना तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका मेरी मुख माहि जलधि लांघि जय अजरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज संहारो आपे तीनों लोक हांकते कापे भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत पीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता असवर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुमरे पासा रघुपति के दासा तुमरे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के तुम बिसरावे अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महाडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। रामा मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। तुलसी हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। जय जय।